So, we're going to be getting a brand new Vigarde, courtesy of the Valentine's Day Tempest Trial event, which is dropping very soon. So, we're going to go ahead and analyze this guy, do a little builds video for him. At first, when I saw the data mines, I was actually, like, kind of underwhelmed, I'm going to admit, because he is just another Axe armor type, and we have so many free-to-play Axe units that it's very easy to just get fatigued by the sheer volume of them, and they're all, like, pretty much doing the same thing. High attack, high defense, yada, yada, yada. We did also get Fargus pretty recently as well, who's in a similar role. However, I thought about it a little bit more, and I realized how actually disgusting this guy's weapon is, which we're going to do an entire segment just talking about his weapon. I actually think this guy slaps. I think he's pretty good, and he is definitely worth looking into as a possible merge project if you want to go for him. We're going to go into details as to why that is in just a moment, but if we take a look at his stat line, he's got a overall BST of 200. RIP, they couldn't give him 201. Had they given him that, he would have jumped into the 205 bin with a super boon, but nah, they don't want to give us nice things, so 200 BST still very good. Stat line is as follows: 51 HP, 45 attack, 26 speed, 47 defense, and then 31 res. And he has triple super boons on HP, speed, and res. So not attack, not defense, which are the two stats that he really wants to focus on. HP is fine, though. We'll definitely take HP. So at least he's got one worthwhile super boon there. Now, his weapon, and I guess by extension also the weapon that's on the Selena on the banner. This is nonsensical, like what this shit does. So Acts of Devotion here, this is inheritable, and at the start of combat, if your HP is over 25%, you're doing damage to the foe equal to X% of their attack at the start of combat. If you've got weapon triangle advantage or your defense is better than the enemy's defense, X is 30, otherwise it's 15. You are going to pretty much see the 30% all the time because his defense is so good, and being an armor type unit, he's going to be running far save, so he's going to be fighting a lot of glass cannons that do not have defense that can match him. So just instantly, he's dealing 30% of the foe's attack as damage, melt damage prior to the start of combat, which is very powerful. Then it's still giving him attack and defense up 5, and then 15% of his defense as attack and defense bonuses. So what the hell? Like, why is this weapon so strong? I'm not complaining, though, because it's a free-to-play weapon. Everyone's getting it, and it's going to be added to the shop. So, yes, please. Now, for comparison's sake, we take a look at Arcane Downfall. This weapon just got blown the fuck out. Like, this weapon is not even in the vicinity of the new Acts of Devotion. So, it's got -1 special trigger, all stats of 5. It gives you Wary Fighter there, and then it also gives you special acceleration and 7 recovery per attack dealt. Not really that big a deal. You're getting way more attack and defense stats out of this weapon because it's got the 15% bonus as well as attack and defense up 5. So stat-wise, this cannot compete. The breath effect is cool, but I mean, we have breath sacred seals. You can also get acceleration as support from a plethora of units like legendary Hinoka and so on and so forth. And the -1 was actually the major advantage to these arcane weapons, at least prior to the release of Marth. So now you can just give the Emblem ring to anybody you want and any weapon, and all of a sudden, this weapon is doing all of this shit, and then it's also got -1 special trigger. Like, are you kidding me right now? So yeah, Arcane Downfall's out of the picture. Arcane Threma is a little bit different. This weapon's really nice. Although, one of the major advantages here is that it's giving you null follow-up if you have better speed than the foe, which I don't think Vigarde himself is going to be able to activate too consistently. So, one of the bigger effects on Arcane Threma is not going to be available to Vigarde himself, but this weapon also has -1 special trigger. It's doing attack and defense -6 as a start of turn debuff to the closest foe, and then it chains to target foes that are in 2 spaces of that foe. So a lot of debuffing start of turn right there. Although if they've got King Freyr, they can completely nullify that. Then you're also getting all stats of 5, and then also a Pledgian debuff on the foe, where you augment whatever debuffs they've got active on them. So it combos with the attack and defense -6. But again, like, you're still getting a lot of attack and defense from this here with the 15%, and then still the attack and defense of 5. So they are similar in terms of stats. And you do get tempo. Tempo is really good, actually, to be getting on, like, anybody, especially armor-type units. So you could run Arcane Threma on him as well. This could be a possible option, but I mean, the melt damage, when you're considering you're going to be running specials like Pavis on him, and then all of a sudden you can still have a DPS, like, have damage potential with Pavis, like, it gets pretty nutty. So I think Arcane Threma, at least in the case of Vigarde, also loses. And then there's Wind Tribe Club, which also got a buff with the -1, but one of the effects here that we get from this weapon is the ability to initiate and get a guaranteed follow-up. Had it just been, like, guaranteed follow-up regardless of player phase or enemy phase, then I might have liked this a little bit more in the case of Vigarde, but not so much. So, yeah, the fact that Axe of Devotion is as strong as it is, and the fact that Vigarde is the most recent Axe armor, I think he actually does worth looking at. He's actually worthy of looking into for an invested merge project. So here we are. We've got him on the unit builder. We can take a look at his base kit here. We already did a complete ramble about Axe of Devotion, how good that is. He's got Ignis for his special, attack and defense form 3, and then even follow-up 3. Complete and utter garbage. Maybe if we get level 4 forms, which I feel like could be a thing very soon, then this would be very nice for fodder. Even follow-up, though, I cannot imagine what a level 4 of this would do that would actually be good, because it's already got the gimmick of being even turn only, and the same with odd follow-up, it's for odd turns only, so they would need quite a lot of affirmative action to make even an odd follow-up be worthwhile at level 4, so, I mean, there you guys go. Base kit kind of crappy, but not that weapon. And before we move any further, I just want to do some quick stat comparisons between him and similar free-to-play units. So here we are with the OG Vigarde. Now, he gets an extra 5 flowers. I put flowers on all these units so we could see their maximum flower investment. So, okay, Vigarde, the new one, has 56 HP. Oh, I gave him plus HP there for some reason. Hold on. Let's take that off. So, 52 HP against 48, so he's got more HP. He's got 2 less points, or actually more. He's got 3 less points of attack. So, the OG Vigarde has a little bit more. But this guy's got way less speed. 27 versus 32. That's pretty good. Like, we do not want speed on these armored units. So, he's looking a little better there. 48 defense versus 46, so he's got more defense. And then he's got 1 more points in res, which I'm not sure how relevant that's going to be. But they're pretty similar, except this guy's just got more stats because he's a later release. Then, of course, we have Fargus, who also, believe it or not, Fargus actually scores just as high as this new Vigarde. And we'll take a look at that, too, in a second with the score calculator. But it's because this guy's got access to a perf weapon and Vigarde doesn't. So, stat-wise, he's got 44 HP, while Vigarde has 52. That is a massive difference there. 46 attack from Fargus versus 46 from Vigarde versus 48 from Fargus. 32 speed from Fargus versus 27 from Vigarde. I don't think it's relevant for either of them, though. And then 48 defense from him versus 41. 7-point difference is pretty huge. And then 33 points of res versus 31. They're very similar. They're only 1-point difference. So way more HP and way more defense for Vigarde is going to add him, or allow him to tank a lot better in melee combat. Whereas Fargus might be able to do a little bit more damage with, like, special spiral builds or damage reduction cut builds or burn melt builds with, like, assassin strike and things like that. So, 2 completely different styles of units. This guy is an armor type, so he can run saves, and then this guy is an infantry type, so he may want to be running nuking builds and things like that. And then finally, Kellum, the most recent armor type unit that we got. So, he's got 49 HP versus Vigarde's 52. He's got 1 more points of attack. He's got 5 more points of speed. And then he has 1 more points of defense and 4 less points on res. So overall, they're pretty similar. They're not, like, super different. But I think Vigarde might be slightly better. Although Kellum being a sword type is also pretty cool. Because this was the first sword armor we got for free in a very long time. So that was nice. But unfortunately, Kellum does not have access to Axe of Devotion. Only your Axe units are going to be able to do that. So that's the reason why I think this guy is a cut above the other options here. Now, if we take a look at scoring, Kellum scores the same as Vigarde. They both have 200 VST. So He's at 764, and then also Fargus is in the 764 bin, as we can see here, with max investment and maximum SP cost skills. So Fargus is still a worthwhile scoring bot, as is Kellum, as is the new Vigarde. So if you're just going for score, like any of these three can get the job done. They are the highest scoring free-to-play options. But I think this guy actually has some competitive viability. So let's take a look here. Some builds now. Okay, so first of all, we're going for a Hardy Fighter build. Very classic. We've got Pavis with the Marth Ring, so it's at -1. And then we can re-up it with Steady Breath pretty effectively. Hardy Fighter, of course, pre-charges it instantly. Close Defense 4, very nice for melee combat, because we're getting 8 points of defense and res and nullifying enemies' bonuses. And then we also have Near Save there, of course. It's going to be on all of these builds. So, Axe of Devotion, allowing you to do melt damage with Hardy Fighter and Pavis is pretty crazy, actually. And you can support this guy easily with Legendary Camilla to cut DR in half and then also give him Guidance 4 support. So, when you're doing all that, when you're cutting DR in half and you're doing all the melt damage prior to combat, you're probably going to be able to just delete whoever you attack, even though you're running Pavis and Hardy Fighter. So, having like KO potential with a build like this is not really something we've seen before. So, typically when you've got Hardy Fighter units, they're just there to live and not really do much else. They just want to tank the hit and not die. But now you're in danger of dying if you attack into something like this, which I think is pretty nuts. Okay, here's another build. This time we're going for Special Spiral 4 and Armored Blaze. With the Marth Ring, we can get this down to 2 hits, and Special Spiral 4 re-ups it over and over, which is pretty sick. Attack and Defense Bond 4 and just Bond 4s in general are kind of slept on these save armors, because they're forced into being adjacent when they trigger save. So you're always going to get the stats and nullify your own penalties. So this is why I think the Bond 4 skills are actually pretty clutch. And then we've got Attack and Defense Form 3 here for the Sacred Seal. Just gives us the highest amount of attack and defense. And Form 3 is pretty easy to activate with your save units, because they're going to be close to all the rest of your other guys. So this is a pretty good build too. You nullify DR, you proc Armored Blaze, you blow the enemies up, and then you've got non-pierceable DR in melee combat, which is very nice. All right, here is another possible build. This time we're going for Weaving Fighter and Attack and Defense Prime 4. Again, just like with Form 3, what I said earlier, these armored type units are very easy to get a lot of bonuses on and get a lot of allies adjacent, so it's not too tough to activate the Prime 4 condition here. Just have like 2 supporters on the team to give him a bunch of starter turn effects, and he should be good to go. And then we've got Special Fighter, which is a seal. Yeah, hard to imagine we'd ever get Special Fighter as a Sacred Seal, but we did. So this is giving him access to guard and also special acceleration on hit. So we can just take a hit and then activate our Armored Blaze on the next attack. And we're also inflicting guard on the foe, which is nice. Tempo is getting more common though, so like that's probably the reason why Special Fighter is okay to have as a seal. And then Weaving Fighter gives us a lot of DR. It's pierceable DR, but it's a lot. And it's good for those times where we're not able to rely on Armored Blaze. And then the final build here, we're going for Gambit 4 this time. So we would not run the Marth Ring this time. And the reason why is because you don't really want to like cut the potential of Gambit 4. This is giving us 15 points of bonus damage per attack, which really piles up with the amount of melt damage you're doing with Axe of Devotion. So Gambit 4 at full power is pretty sick here. Then we're also getting the 50% DR, and Miracle just lets us live. So again, like another crazy thing, we're running Miracle here, and we still have a lot of KO potential with Gambit 4's true damage and also the melt damage of Axe of Devotion. Deflect Melee is a possible seal here to protect against like desperation attacks. The one that would come to mind is Tea Time Ira, but there's quite a lot of melee units that try to just hit you with desperation effects. So being able to have some DR in that case is pretty nice. Although you could also go for Hardy Fighter as well if you want to just turn off their desperation and get the counterattack on them. So that could be an option. And Earth Fire Boost, we finally got a different boost skill besides Fire Flood Boost. So we're going to be running that here. Gives us a fat HP up 5 and then defense and attack up 7 with guard. So pretty good skill. All of these level 3 boost skills are going to be really nice, the split ones. But as of this moment, we only have 2 different ones. So there you guys go on Vigarde. He's a really solid near save option. And even though he's green, like green is typically not the craziest color you want to see. However, right now the craziest melee type unit is a blue unit, and that is the Winter Edelgard. So having this guy as a possible near save option, that's way easier for people to build up being free to play than the Brave Edelgard, who is currently the better counter to Winter Edelgard. This is really good. Like, he could be super viable on Aether Raid's defenses to just hard wall enemy Brave Edelgards, and then he could do a lot too against like other melee types with the amount of damage he's going to be getting from Acts of Devotion. Maybe if you've got Camilla on the team, he cuts DR in half as well on every hit. So a lot of good things in the way of Vigarde here. I think he's actually really good. So that's going to wrap us up for this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you going to be building up Vigarde? And this is your boy Top Show signing out. So take care, fellas, and I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.